The sports livery update patch 1.15 is out now for F1 22. The last patch I said was probably the largest one we've got in the F1 game history, with a full F2 season of this year added in, Mika Hakkinen added in as a My Team icon, new celebrations like the griddy, and then also the brand new podium pass. But this patch is the largest when it comes to just the actual official F1 teams, because pretty much every F1 team has had a livery update, and a lot of them have had more than just a livery update, but an entire car model update. In the case for several of the F1 teams now, visually from the onboard, you can see the striking difference in the car models. For the Mercedes there, you'll see now the Halo has the fairings, the Red Bull finally has the correct color of blue, and then also the Halo has turned to black. And then you can't see it from the onboard, but the side pods have also changed. The engine cover is drastically different. I'll go through all those changes in a moment in the video, but I just want to show you the biggest comparisons of the onboards from certain cars. The McLaren, you can tell the side pod arrangement has changed from the onboard here. The Alpine very strangely has an entirely different kind of shade and finish of blue on it, which I didn't really notice has happened in real life, so I don't exactly know what's gone on there. And then the biggest other kind of visual change onboard from these cars is the Aston Martin, because for the entire season now they've had a black halo and very different side pod inlets, and that wasn't the case for a lot of the time on the F1 game until this patch has finally come in and changed that. But now we're going to go through and look at the car models from the outside perspective, not on the onboard cameras, because a lot of the largest changes with these car models have actually come on the rear end of the car, because that's been where a lot of the changes have come IRL. The teams have kind of understood the philosophies of these ground effect cars better, so we've seen quite a few teams changing that kind of side pod arrangement, you know, from the front to the rear of the car, you know, with a lot of the teams now going for converging strategies. But we're going to go and look through and kind of note on them in this video as we go on through, just showing you the Mercedes first of all. You can see a lot of things have actually changed with the Mercedes. They've changed the front wing on the end plate, the way the kind of, you know, cutoff is on the side. Also the front wing itself just looked to be getting a little bit bigger actually. The rear wing as well, in terms of where they've done the paint stripping to be more aggressive, they've added that in. And then, like I said, any new fairings and little winglets like on the Halo and on the side pod, they've put those on these new car models. The biggest thing with the Red Bull was the side pod shape and the engine cover shape on that rear end, just as you get on towards that kind of gap between the rear tire and the rear wing and the diffuser area. And then also the bigger thing I guess most people notice is actually just the color. The Red Bull's been the kind of wrong shade of blue and finish of blue the entire time. It's been a little bit weird because it looks nothing like it has been in real life, and so finally now it is actually looking like it does IRL with the halo, but also the blue color, and then obviously the changed side pod arrangement. The Ferrari obviously IRL hasn't changed too much strikingly in the kind of side pod department or major car model department, so there are no massive major changes, just a few little new winglets here and there. So that gives me time just to quickly note as well, on top of the car updates, there are actually further other improvements in the game. Portimao and Shanghai are now available from Season 2 onwards in the career mode. So they've listened to the feedback and the utter confusion of why we couldn't have these circuits added into post-Season 1 of career mode. There's also now finally the option to allow the player more flexibility in the tire selection per session. So that's hopefully going to open up the door for some more differing strategies for you and the AI in your career modes, and also online play, league racing, and maybe even esports. So that's definitely a positive step forwards to allow a bit of a change in the compound allocation, especially for the race, to allow you to have an extra medium tire to maybe make a two-stop work and not be just kind of pigeonholed into a one-stop from medium to hards and not even using the soft tire, even at a racetrack where it could be useful. But getting back to now these models, this is a car that has changed quite a lot. The McLaren, of course, the side pods you'll notice massively different and now correct to what they are like in real life, where they kind of copy that similar Alpine Red Bull silhouette where the side pod kind kind of just arches downwards. Speaking of the Alpine team, the Alpine is strikingly different. For color-wise, like I said, I don't actually know why they've changed the color so dramatically, because I don't feel like it has in real life, but there you go. But the shape of the car, drastically different. You can see that kind of Ferrari-esque sort of tunneling on the side pod on the top, but also then getting a bit of, inspiration from the Red Bull team with the way it slopes down, and then the way with the engine cover actually arches over to kind of create a channeling tunnel for that air to go down. So, as they were IRL, of course, as well, and then a load of different kind of little new sponsor locations that you'll see from the onboard. The AlphaTauri, we mentioned this in the last update, actually, about the whole livery changing on the front wing, but then also, likewise, as was the case with Alpine and McLaren, this was another team that changed their side pod arrangement and followed the Red Bull approach of having that, side pod swoop down, the engine cover bulging out to create that. And the other team that copied that was also Aston Martin. So all these teams converging on this different philosophy. Of course, Aston Martin was a bit more extreme, because when it came out, as you can clearly see actually from this model, you can see the comparison to that new Red Bull model. It is very, very similar, on the inlet, and especially on the arrangement with the way it has a little bump and curvature, but in its own unique way as well, has its own little inlet, which is a little bit similar to actually Toro Rosso, actually, and to their old inlet as well. But a big major change for the visuals of the Aston Martin onboard was really just more the black halo, because that was pretty much there from the get-go, but for the whole time the F1 game we didn't have it. So it's really cool that they finally added in things like this, and they've gotten better at it. I think, this is the first time, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if they've made this many quite major and like very apparently visual changes to cars in a sports update patch. I think, last year we did have a few little car model changes and, very much the livery changes, but then pre-F1 2021, there would be some subtle livery changes, but then, even, pre, 2019 onwards, older F1 games, they never used to update things like this. So it's good to see they're going in this direction of bringing more live services to updating the cars, and, the only hope would be maybe they're, somehow able to bring them out even quicker, nearer to the time when the changes happen, but obviously that's very, very tricky. These things take time to 3D model, then you have to sign them off on teams, but as I've been talking about that, obviously we went through the Alfa Romeo and Williams, not as majorly changed there. The Williams obviously had the new bulkier side pods compared to their shrink-wrapped one. The Alfa Romeo, a subtle change on the rear end. The Haas did have a major change, of course. This massive black grille and this copy of the Ferrari kind of bathtub side pods, which is very apparent now, on the car compared to the old model. So that was another major and final change for one of these F1 teams. So those were the major changes, with the cars being the kind of main focus. But like I said, the two new tracks that were added in are now available in career mode. There has been change to the tire allocation. There were a few other small little updates, like updating Mika Häkkinen's helmet and other little fixes here and there, but I'll link the patch notes down below if you want to check those out. But that was the biggest change. Obviously, it is kind of titled the Sports Livery Update. Let me know what you guys make of the updates. Do you like the fact that they've really gone to that effort to change all the models? And if you have found the video informative, then be sure to hit the like button. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.